In a significant development poised to shape the future of global business relations, foreign CEOs are set to converge in Beijing for a pivotal summit coinciding with an anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. This gathering, scheduled for March 28, 2025, marks an important moment as leaders from various industries including Qualcomm's Cristiano Amon and Saudi Aramco's Amin Nasser prepare to engage directly with China's top officials. This meeting comes on the heels of heightened economic tensions between the United States and China, particularly in light of President-elect Donald Trump's recent invitation to Xi to attend his inauguration on January 20, a gesture that Xi has declined. This decision, as reported by CBS News, underscores the complex and often fraught nature of U.S. China relations, especially as Trump has threatened significant tariffs on imports from countries in the BRICS alliance, including China. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over, Trump stated on Truth Social, indicating a robust stance on protecting U.S. economic interests. As global CEOs prepare for the China Development Forum from March 23 to 24, their presence reflects China's ongoing efforts to project an image of openness and commitment to international business. This is particularly critical for Xi, who is grappling with economic challenges including stagnant growth and a decline in foreign investment. Xi is trying to reverse foreign investment outflows and persistent economic weakness, a source familiar with the matter noted, emphasizing the significance of this summit for the Chinese leader's economic agenda. The forum will also see notable figures from various sectors, including Steve Schwarzman of Blackstone, Albert Bourla of Pfizer, and Rajesh Subramaniam of FedEx, reinforcing the diverse representation of industries that are vital to both the global economy and China's economic recovery strategy. This year's forum aims not only to foster dialogue but also to reinforce China's position as a key player in the global market, contrasting sharply with Trump's America First policies, which have often been perceived as protectionist. Moreover, Senator Steve Daines, a Republican member of the Foreign Relations Committee, is expected to meet with senior Chinese leaders during this summit. Daines has publicly stated that he plans to address the issue of fentanyl trafficking, a topic that has been a point of contention between the two nations. The senator's engagement reflects the dual-edged nature of U.S. China relations, where economic collaboration is often overshadowed by political and social challenges. As the world watches, the outcomes of this summit could set the tone for future U.S.-China interactions, particularly in light of Trump's impending inauguration and his administration's approach to international diplomacy. The contrasting strategies of the two nations highlight the complexities of global trade and economic cooperation, with ramifications that may extend far beyond bilateral relations. Looking forward, the upcoming meetings between Xi and global CEOs will be a litmus test for China's ability to navigate its economic challenges while maintaining robust international relationships. The summit could also signify a shift in how business leaders engage with China as they weigh the risks and opportunities presented by a changing geopolitical landscape. As such, the world will be keenly observing the outcomes of these discussions, which may well influence the trajectory of global commerce in the years ahead. In a significant move signaling China's ongoing outreach to the global business community, top executives from major international corporations are gearing up to convene in Beijing later this month. This annual gathering, known as the China Development Forum, is set to feature prominent figures such as Qualcomm's Cristiano Amon and Saudi Aramco's Amin Nasser. In an intriguing twist, some of these CEOs are expected to meet with President Xi Jinping, marking a pivotal moment in China's efforts to attract foreign investment amidst a backdrop of economic challenges. Scheduled for March 23 to 24, the forum promises to be a focal point for discussions on the business climate in China. Sources suggest that the meeting with Xi, anticipated for March 28, could further solidify the relationship between Chinese leadership and global business leaders, particularly as China aims to project an image of openness to foreign investment. This is crucial for Xi, who is under pressure to reverse a trend of declining foreign investment and to stimulate economic growth, which is targeted at around 5% for this year. Notable attendees from previous forums, including figures like Blackstone's Steve Schwarzman and Pfizer's Albert Bourla, are expected to return, highlighting the event's importance in the global economic calendar. The Chinese government is keen to showcase its commitment to private enterprise, a message reinforced by Xi's recent high-profile meetings with influential entrepreneurs including Jack Ma of Alibaba. The backdrop to this gathering is complex. As China seeks to enhance its economic ties, it contrasts sharply with the protectionist stance adopted by some Western nations, particularly under former President Donald Trump. Republican Senator Steve Daines, who is also expected to visit China, aims to address various issues including the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. during his meetings with Chinese officials. This aspect of U.S China relations is particularly sensitive as it underlines the broader tensions that exist alongside economic discussions. The upcoming forum's agenda reflects a diverse range of industries, with executives from companies like BHP Group, Estée Lauder, AstraZeneca, and Nestlé all slated to attend. As these leaders prepare to engage with Chinese policymakers, the stakes are high, not just for the companies involved but for the broader economic landscape both in China and globally. The forum represents a critical opportunity for China to reassure foreign investors of its intentions to foster a conducive business environment. In a related development, the Chinese Foreign Ministry has commented on Xi's decision to decline an invitation to a summit in Brussels marking the 50th anniversary of EU-China relations. This decision may underscore a strategic pivot towards reinforcing relationships closer to home, particularly in light of ongoing global economic uncertainties. The ministry's spokesperson emphasized China's readiness to collaborate with Europe on initiatives to strengthen diplomatic ties, even as Xi opts for engagements that may yield more immediate economic benefits. As the China Development Forum approaches, the world will be watching closely. The outcomes of these high-stakes meetings could play a crucial role in shaping not only China's economic future but also the trajectory of international business relations in an increasingly interconnected world. The dialogue initiated at this forum may pave the way for new partnerships and investment opportunities, setting the tone for China's place in the global economy in the years to come. In a decisive response to ongoing economic challenges, China has unveiled a comprehensive plan aimed at revitalizing domestic consumption and boosting consumer confidence. As the world's second-largest economy grapples with deflationary pressures and a slowdown in consumer spending, President Xi Jinping's government is keenly aware that stimulating demand is crucial for sustainable growth. Announced recently by the State Council, the initiative emphasizes a multifaceted approach designed to enhance household incomes, stabilize key markets, and invigorate consumer behavior. The government's strategy, as articulated by Xinhua, underscores the urgent need to vigorously boost consumption and expand domestic demand in all directions. This shift in focus marks a significant pivot from previous policies that prioritized industrial growth. The plan aims to directly address the faltering consumer confidence that has persisted since the end of COVID-19 lockdowns, which left many households cautious about spending. As evidence of this trend, consumer prices dipped into deflation for the first time in over a year, further complicating the economic landscape. Key components of the new consumption package include raising the minimum wage, enhancing support for education, and establishing a childcare subsidy system. These measures are particularly relevant as China faces demographic challenges, including declining birth rates that have persisted for 3 consecutive years. Lin Song, chief economist for ING in Greater China, highlighted that this plan could enhance both the capacity and willingness of households to consume, potentially steering the economy toward a more consumption-driven growth model. In addition to bolstering domestic consumption, the initiative also aims to promote inbound consumption, an effort to revive foreign tourism that has languished since the pandemic. Beijing has already taken steps to facilitate this by extending visa-free travel to numerous countries, signaling an eagerness to welcome international visitors back to China. This aspect of the plan is particularly pertinent as the government identifies sectors such as tourism and entertainment as vital contributors to economic recovery. Data released by the National Bureau of Statistics reflects a complex economic picture. Retail sales rose by 4% year-on-year for January and February, beating December's figures and aligning with economists' forecasts. However, the underlying reality remains challenging, particularly in the real estate sector, where average new home prices have continued to decline. The ongoing contraction in this critical industry has intensified calls from economists to prioritize domestic demand stimulation. Despite these efforts, analysts remain cautious. Su Chenggang, a senior research scholar at Stanford University, remarked that while the government acknowledges the severity of the economic situation, concrete measures to stimulate demand appear insufficient. Although they admit that something is wrong, they still emphasize more on the supply side, Su noted, suggesting that substantial action is required to translate policy announcements into tangible results. Market reactions have been mixed, with the Hang Seng Index rising and Brent crude oil prices gaining slightly following the announcement. However, the CSI 300 index faced a slight decline, illustrating the market's uncertainty regarding the effectiveness of the government's measures. As China embarks on this ambitious plan to rejuvenate its economy, the implications of these policies will be closely monitored both domestically and globally. The focus on consumption is not merely a response to current challenges but also a strategic move toward a more balanced economic model that could reshape China's economic landscape in the years to come. Future developments will hinge on the government's ability to implement these initiatives effectively and adapt to the evolving economic environment. In the geopolitical arena, the implications of a nation's military posture can ripple far beyond its borders, influencing allies and adversaries alike. This is particularly evident as Taiwan grapples with the recent shifts in U.S. foreign policy, especially following President Donald Trump's abrupt change in stance regarding Ukraine. With tensions escalating in the Asia-Pacific region, Taiwan's leadership alongside its citizens is increasingly anxious about the security implications of these developments. On March 5, 2025, amid the fanfare of China's National People's Congress, Beijing unveiled plans to increase its military spending by nearly $250 billion, a surge of over 7%. This is part of a broader strategy to modernize the People's Liberation Army while assertively pursuing territorial claims in the South China Sea and over Taiwan, which it views as a breakaway province. President Xi Jinping has made it clear that reasserting control over Taiwan remains a priority even if it requires military action. For decades, Taiwan has relied on the United States as its primary security partner, with American law mandating the provision of defensive support. The presence of U.S. military vessels and aircraft in the vicinity of Taiwan has served as a deterrent against Chinese aggression. However, recent events, particularly Trump's confrontational interactions with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, have left Taiwanese officials and citizens concerned about the reliability of U.S. support in times of crisis. Russell Seo, executive director of the Global Taiwan Institute, articulated these concerns, noting the seemingly about-face from the United States in its position of support for Ukraine raises doubts among people in Taiwan whether this could potentially happen to them as well. The fear is that Taiwan could find itself abandoned in a critical moment, much like Ukraine appears to be facing amid its own trials. Historically, the U.S. has provided Taiwan with over $50 billion in military aid since 1950, including advanced weaponry like HIMARS rocket systems and F-16 fighter jets. Taiwan itself is ramping up its defense budget, allocating nearly 2.5% of its 2025 budget, approximately $20 billion, to bolster its military capabilities. However, the Trump administration has recently urged Taiwan to increase its defense spending even further, with some figures suggesting an increase to as much as 10%. During a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing, Elbridge Colby, Trump's nominee for Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, stated Taiwan should be spending more like 10% or at least something in that ballpark, really focused on their defense. In response, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te proposed a defense budget increase to over 3%, which will require approval from the Legislative Yuan. The relationship between Taiwan and the U.S. has evolved significantly under Trump's leadership. Unlike his predecessor Tsai Ing-wen, who famously engaged in a controversial phone call with Trump shortly after his election in 2016, Li has maintained a more cautious approach, having not spoken directly to Trump since his recent re-election. Yet Xiao suggests that Taiwan still holds a favorable position, stating, "Taiwan does have a better hand in terms of what it can offer to the United States in terms of a reciprocal bilateral relationship. Taiwan's economic significance cannot be overstated." In 2024, it ranked as the seventh largest trade partner of the U.S., with trade valued at nearly $160 billion. Recently, the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company TSMC announced a monumental $100 billion investment to build 5 new semiconductor facilities in Arizona, a deal that was celebrated by Trump as a job creator and a boon for the U.S. tech industry. Despite this positive development, concerns about Chinese military assertiveness loom large. The juxtaposition of Taiwan's economic opportunities and the military threats from China creates a delicate balance that Taiwanese leaders must navigate carefully. It's very key for Taipei to maintain calm and be cool-headed with regards to dealing with the Trump administration, CEO emphasized, highlighting the need for a robust U.S.-Taiwan relationship. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, Taiwan's leaders are acutely aware that the stakes are high. The implications of U.S. foreign policy shifts, particularly under Trump's leadership, will undoubtedly influence Taiwan's defense strategies and its overall security posture in the face of an increasingly aggressive China. As developments unfold, the world will be watching closely to see how these dynamics play out, particularly in the context of long-standing tensions in the region. In a significant turn of diplomatic relations, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent remarks regarding China-India ties have garnered a positive response from Chinese officials. In a podcast interview with Lex Friedman, Modi emphasized the importance of dialogue over discord and the natural occurrence of differences between neighboring countries. "Our focus is to ensure that these differences don't turn into disputes. That's what we actively work toward," he stated, highlighting a pragmatic approach to international relations that resonates with the current geopolitical climate. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning expressed appreciation for Modi's comments, noting that they reflect a mutual desire to improve bilateral relations. Mao referenced a successful meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and Modi in Kazan last October, which set the groundwork for enhancing cooperation and addressing long-standing issues between the two nations. Both sides have earnestly implemented the important consensus reached by leaders of the two countries, strengthened exchanges and practical cooperation at various levels, and achieved a series of positive outcomes. Mao remarked, "The historical context of China-India relations plays a crucial role in understanding the current dynamics. With a 2,000-year history of interactions," Mao emphasized that friendly exchanges and mutual learning have significantly contributed to world civilization. As the two largest developing nations, China and India share crucial responsibilities towards their populations totaling approximately 2.8 billion people. Mao articulated a vision of mutual understanding and support aligning with the aspirations of the Global South, which advocates for greater cooperation among developing countries. Moreover, Modi's call for a cooperative pas de deux of the dragon and the elephant symbolizes the need for both nations to engage in healthy competition rather than confrontation. This sentiment underlines the importance of fostering an environment where collaboration can thrive despite past tensions. The upcoming 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between China and India serves as an opportune moment to bolster exchanges and cooperation across various fields as both nations look to promote stability and prosperity in the region. As global power dynamics shift, the implications of Modi's remarks extend beyond the immediate context of India-China relations. Analysts suggest that these developments reflect a broader trend of pragmatic diplomacy in the face of rising tensions in other regions, such as Ukraine and Gaza. The ability of nations to engage in constructive dialogue will be crucial in navigating an increasingly complex international landscape characterized by transactional diplomacy and strategic improvisation. Looking forward, the prospect of strengthened China-India relations could yield significant benefits not just for the two nations but for regional and global stability as well. As both countries continue to explore avenues for cooperation, the hope is that dialogue will pave the way for resolving long-standing disputes and harnessing collective potential. The international community will undoubtedly watch closely as these developments unfold, with the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape in Asia and beyond.